When it comes to UFC, I like to be honest with you, all the viewer, about what I don't know. And I figure we'll turn to someone who knows as much as anybody to help me and you know a little bit more about Saturday night. Ariel Helwani joins us from Vegas, and it's UFC 229. So it's Khabib Nurmagomedov and Conor McGregor. And Conor is the most famous guy in the Octagon. He's the best marketer in the Octagon. Is he the best fighter in the Octagon Saturday?
Oh, wow. That is a really good question. You know, there are some people who would argue that, although he hasn't fought in almost 2 years in MMA, of course, we know about the Floyd Mayweather fight, somewhat of an anomaly that happened around a year ago this time. I would not put him as the top pound-for-pound fighter in the world, but he's up there. Once he comes back, once he actually steps foot in the Octagon, I'd say he's top 5. I would also argue that he's top 10 most famous athletes in the world, period. He has reached a level that no one in the history of MMA has ever reached, and that's, in my opinion, top 10 most popular and famous athletes in the world. And that's quite the feat. That's something I think most of us never thought we'd see as far as MMA fighters are concerned.
No argument. But then I ask, why is he an underdog on Saturday?
Well, he's an underdog because he's fighting a guy who's 26-0, a guy who's incredibly dominant, a guy who has never lost a round in the UFC. This is a guy, Khabib Nurmagomedov, whose greatest strength is arguably Conor McGregor's greatest weakness, and that's his wrestling. And when you're facing a guy like Khabib, a guy who grew up in Dagestan, in the mountains, a guy, if you go on YouTube, Scott, and you type in Khabib Nurmagomedov bear, you will see footage of a 7-year-old Khabib Nurmagomedov wrestling a bear. And this is no joke. That's how he grew up. He grew up wrestling bears. He's unbelievable. In my opinion, he's the most dominant force in the history of the sport. So that's essentially why Conor McGregor, in a nutshell, is a underdog going into this fight.
Because he's fighting a man who fought bears as a child. In Conor's case, I'm told that this rage and this anger that he feels towards his opponent is not manufactured. It is real. I wonder if that's almost negative, because I don't know how that serves you well. Is this manufactured, or is this something that is in him, and if so, why?
Scott, let me tell you a story. This is a story I haven't shared with a lot of people. A week after Conor's last court hearing in Brooklyn back in July, I found out that he was staying at a particular hotel in New York City. And I wanted to speak to Conor. Of course, he's a very famous man. It used to be very easy to speak to him. I'd send him a DM. He'd reply in seconds. Now it's a little harder. I waited in the lobby for 5 hours for him to come downstairs because I knew eventually he would leave. He came up to me. It was nice to talk to him. We had a nice little chat. And then he actually had a cameraman following him around. He told his cameraman to turn off the camera, and he came really close to me. And he said to me this. He said, "Ariel, they have no idea what's coming. They have no idea what I'm going to do to this man. They have never seen anything like this before. They think this is some kind of joke. They think I'm not serious. I have never felt this way about an opponent before." So this is no fabrication. This is very personal for both of them. They've said a lot about each other, and I think that's what makes it even more interesting.
And you help give us the perspective that I lack, and certainly make Saturday night even more interesting. I know folks are fascinated to find out what plays out, and we will know our answers very, very shortly. Ariel, appreciate your time and continued success. Keep doing great work, which you are, covering the sport for us.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.